strike on it, forces Calendar into a save down to his left. Big save there. Joseph Martinez from 25 yards on, tries the curl. Negri trying to flick it through, and it comes to the back post, and it's a debut goal for Serhii Krivtsov. Hits it off the post. Borgelin saved off the left. Borgelin again has scored. Gives Miami the comfortable lead. Fresh from a week off, Inter Miami back to work with new players, new kits, new national teamers, and a game against Houston. Welcome into the Inter Miami Show. Chris Whittingham, joined by Kieran Gibbs for this week's edition. We're wearing our One Planet kits. We'll talk about that later on. This will be the kit that is featured at the weekend as Inter Miami take on Houston Dynamo away from home. But a lot to get to on this edition of the show. We'll begin with the new players that have arrived at Inter Miami. We begin first with Kamal Miller, the center back, joining from CF Montreal, along with $1.3 million in allocation money in exchange for Bryce Duke and Ariel Lassiter, who go up to Canada. But Kieran, we have to start with Kamal Miller, the player that you get in the transaction. Center back, left-sided. What do you think of the acquisition?
Yeah, big statement from the club, Chris, in signing Kamal. He's got bags of experience on club level, international level. I really like him. I always like a centre-back that's left-footed as well, because you don't get many of them. And he likes to come out with the ball and drive the players up the pitch. I think he's going to be a great signing for the club.
Now, we're showing you video here of a goal, and I can't imagine we'll see too many of those, but as you mentioned, likes to play a little bit further forward. It gives you some positional versatility as well, can play in the back three as well as the back four, and a lot of options available for Phil Neville with this new signing.
Yeah, versatility is what he brings. You can play him on the left of a three or in a two. And it just brings a little bit of extra defensive stability to the team, which, you know, is important to, you know, stop conceding goals. And he's big as well on set pieces, so hopefully he can make a difference in that side as well.
You mentioned the experience. Part of that experience has started every single game of the World Cup for Canada in their group stage exit, but a player who has no question done a lot in the game and comes to Inter Miami from CF Montreal. The other player joining in this last week gone by, Dixon Arroyo, the 30-year-old Ecuadorian midfielder, joining from Emelec in the Ecuadorian top flight. And we've talked so much about the need for a replacement for Gregory in the center of the park, and I think in Dixon Arroyo they might have found one.
Yeah, it was a really important signing. The club, I think, knew they had to address the hole that was left with Gregory, and it's such an important role. I think for any team, the defensive midfield role is just crucial. So it looks to be like he's a like for like with Gregory. You know, he's a ball-winning midfielder. He likes to keep it simple. I also saw in his game that he likes to make, you know, good forward passes as well when Miami get control of the game, which we know that they can do. That when the game settles down, he can penetrate with passes, and that's something that Phil will love, because, you know, we need to get up the pitch and create those opportunities for the offensive players.
And that relationship with John Mota in the middle and the attackers in front of them will be absolutely enormous. But Arroyo comes in as something of a like-for-like replacement. Don't also ignore the $1.3 million allocation money. Will certainly give Miami some flexibility for the future. Well, let's talk now about the U.S. national team. Played in Mexico, and a couple of Inter Miami players were along with them. DeAndre Edlin has been with the U.S. national team for a while, but something that's been called for by Phil Neville, among others, is Drake Calendar getting into the U.S. men's national team. And what a big moment for him, Kieran, a player who gets his reward. And if you go back to the start of last year, is the third choice Inter Miami goalkeeper, and you go from there to a national teamer in less than a year and a half. It's a remarkable rise for the player.
I'm over the moon for Drake. I think, you know, he's a great goalkeeper. He's come on so far in the last 18 months, like you say, and he's taken everything in his stride. We've said before how calm he is and collected. He's really improved, and he's even got more room for improvement. So I hope that he uses this to leapfrog into and elevate his game to the next level, which I think he can do. But no, what a moment for him. I'm very pleased for him.
And continued to prove himself in that game against Dallas last time out with some more brilliant saves. And the club were actually able to reveal to Drake Calendar how he got called into the national team. Let's take a look at how it transpired.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Have you ever played for the senior national team?
I have not. It's something I'm striving towards, you know, in my career thus far. So maybe one day I'll get there.
Congratulations, you've been selected. for the roster.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Wow. I thought I was going to give the surprise. Yeah, thank you guys. Wow.
And you see so often the academy players are a key part of what happens here at Inter Miami. Kieran, what can you tell us about what that first one is like? The first call in, you played for England, and Drake Callender now gets a chance to get called into the U.S. What's that first call in like?
Well, I'm happy that they're getting creative with the call-ups, because back in my day it was literally just like
just
a
a
text
phone call.
message. Yeah. But no, there's no feeling like your first call-up, and so yeah, it's a special moment for him. He'll be very proud, and I'm sure his family will be proud as well.
Yours was in 2010. I was looking online. You got called in by Fabio Capello to England for the first time. What was that whole experience like for you? You experienced a meteoric rise at Arsenal at the time.
Yeah, that's right. It was Fabio, and it was I was 21 at the time, I think, and it was overwhelming, to be honest, because I was still young at that time and I was still finding my feet in the game, but he saw potential to bring me into the national team, and I was over the moon, to be honest. And I got to meet all of the senior players there who were great in helping us, welcoming us into the team. But what an experience, and I'm sure he'll be going through that now while he's there.
And Drake Callender called into the most recent U.S. men's national team, along with DeAndre Edlin. No small feat, enters his fourth World Cup qualifying cycle with the U.S. Not a ton of players currently in the U.S. setup that have that level of experience, and he's there yet again. Was at the World Cup in 2014 in Brazil, was at the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. Of course, the U.S. didn't make it in 2018, but DeAndre Edlin continuing to roll along. Want to focus now on the kits that we're wearing. The One Planet shirts, they're absolutely beautiful. Cannot wait to see them on the field in Houston. And yet another tremendous kit reveal from Inter Miami. We go diving with sharks in this one. This is incredible.
We were honored to team up with Inter Miami, Adidas, and Major League Soccer once again to release this year's One Planet jersey. On the first year, we highlighted that we can have oceans free of plastic.
On the second year, we focused on the fact that when our oceans are free of plastic, marine life will return.
This year, our message was simple. Healthy oceans contain apex predators. A biodiverse ocean is a healthy ocean.
And in a world covered by 80% water, a healthy ocean leads to a healthy planet.
And Kieran, I'm surprised that you didn't take the assignment to go swimming with sharks on the day. That looked like the picture lying flat on the sand with the shark next to you. I mean, that is something incredible. Incredible. And again, so these shirts are made with genuine bits of recyclable materials from ocean plastics. They go through the whole process and get incorporated into the kit. So we'll see that again on the field this Saturday against Houston Dynamo, 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time for that one. We'll preview that game in just a moment. But want to talk about first, we have Inter Miami's first U.S. Open Cup draw in 2023. It'll be a local derby. Yet again, we saw this last year in the Open Cup, Miami's first edition of the tournament, and they played local rivals Miami FC of the USL Championship. Leo Campana got the goal in that game as Miami won by a 0-0. But a local derby down at FIU Stadium. We'll see two sets of supporters in Miami come together for a big night of Cup football, having played in the FA Cup and won the FA Cup. This is kind of the U.S.'s edition of it. What for you stands out about this fixture?
Cup games at any level are really exciting, and especially a derby game. They're always my favourite games, the derbies. So it will be an exciting game. Like it was last year, it was a tricky game as well. You've got players on their side that are looking to prove themselves.
It's their biggest game of the season.
Exactly. And you've got players on our side that he might rotate a little bit, and so players get a chance to play and get some minutes. So it'll be an exciting game.
Yeah, Miami made changes in the second half of that game to try and bring on some of their big guns and eventually got the goal through Campana. Now, finally, let's focus on the game at the weekend. Miami trying to end their losing run as they take on Houston Dynamo, a side that are much improved from a year ago. We're a side that struggled towards the bottom of the table, but we've seen some new introductions. I mean, Abbasi has scored a few goals for them as well. And with that, let's get to Kieran's 3 points for 3 points at the weekend. Kieran Gibbs, what do you think is the key for a Miami victory this weekend?
Okay, yeah, so the first key point this weekend, I'm going to say, is a big midfield performance. Houston have got a strong midfield, and I feel like if you can win the midfield battle this weekend, it will give you a good chance to win the game. The second key point is using the bye week that we've just had to the advantage. You know, players have had a rest. It's been a chance to regroup, new signings coming in and getting used to their surroundings. And there's a lot of games coming up. So, you know, hopefully the players are fresh and ready to go for the next set of games coming up. And the third thing is going to be the new signings. You know, they've not had a lot of time to adjust and settle in, but they're going to have a big impact straight away. And I'm hoping that they can do that starting this weekend.
And those are Kieran's 3 points for 3 points. Again, Houston Dynamo away from home on Saturday, 8:30 p.m. start time. Have not had too many of those, so the Central Time kickoff will be Inter Miami away against Houston Dynamo before a 3-match week. We mentioned the Miami FC match in the Cup and then back to league action again next Saturday. So the fixtures are starting to pick up here as Miami will hopefully go on a U.S. Open Cup run. That'll do it for us here on the Inter Miami Show. I want to thank Kieran Gibbs and our tremendous production team. Again, have a look. The One Planet shirts available as well now wherever you buy your jerseys. And we'll talk to you next week.